Okay, we are back with Beyond Exile. We've completed Chapter 3, Skinner's Butte, where Frank and Aaron have broken up, and he's left her in Oregon, and he's driven back to University of California, Berkeley. It says the road to Berkeley here. And the fourth installment is called The Comprehensives. While he was in Oregon, GTU fired the administration and gutted the Department of Theology and the Arts. He was no longer a union poet. He had to graduate in the traditional manner. His book of numbers was rejected as a dissertation, and he had to stand for comprehensives. With 7 world-famous professors, he'd never met church history, systematic theology, and worse, it's vaudeville, slapstick, the way Frank mugs and dances, coughing up pebbles from the muddy stream, of 500 books read 7 seconds a page. He's the tightrope walker, the man of 1,000 resources, improvising context and analysis in a room of cynical theological orthodoxy. They know he never attended a class. They silently applaud his scholarly audacity. They note the preface to his book of numbers was renamed The Will to Greater Orgasm by the Jesuits and distributed free on campus by the Unitarians. They say T.J.J. Altizer called and quickly failed him without prejudice. That's a pretty short chapter with no interaction. Kind of giving you some history of Frank as he returns to Berkeley and flunking his first dissertation. And with that, we'll go right into the 5th chapter, which is called Thanksgiving Light. And we are on the campus at the U of C Berkeley. This is the Coit Tower here at Cal Berkeley. And at this point, Frank is not with us in the adventure right at this moment. There's a character named Jackson in this scene. Let's look at the character of Jackson. After his collapse, Jackson was Nietzsche, silent and serene, for 3-4 months, receiving German scholars in a small room, behind the incessant hurtling machines of a Chinese dry cleaner in North Beach. And with that, you are Jackson. So we have no idea what this guy is, or very little, but we are going to act and interact with the things in California, Berkeley as Jackson. We see a ticket, and it's a dry cleaning ticket. Well, we do know that. Here goes the dry cleaner. So let's take the ticket. Let's pick a direction. Let's go south. And it just says south of Berkeley. Nothing to do there. Go back north. Let's go east. Chinese laundromat. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. The dry cleaner. He does not speak English. Let's just present him with the dry cleaning ticket. Let's see what it says. Oops. One last medium starched shirt, and Jackson reverts to being Jackson, providing hot tickets to cabbies for a cut of strip shows and rooms by the minute. The press box at Giants games, Castro Street after midnight. So, Castro Street would be in San Francisco. Let's head back to Berkeley, and still nothing down south. Let's head west. And we're in transit across the Bay Bridge. Let's keep going west. And we're in scene 22, San Francisco. And there it says Castro Street, so let's look at that. And we give a cut scene here. San Francisco, California, and then it shows this movement here. These arrows are moving us to Eugene, Oregon. Interesting. Okay. So suddenly, we're in Eugene, Oregon. And it says Jackson with question marks here. So let's look at that and see what we get. Then inexplicably in Oregon, stripping bark from yew trees for a new cancer cure, he's shot in the ass by a farmer who maybe owns the land, maybe finds a cute nurse at the hospital, hanging coffee shops west of campus, the French-looking dandy with a black beret and 3 o'clock shadow, the plump little blonde giggling at every pun and innuendo when they go wrong. AP immediately picks it up. It's in the Oregonian, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Los Angeles Times. Jackson's busted in Eugene for coming in through the bathroom window. Attempted rape, says the judge. You can tell by his greasy fingerprints on the toilet lid. It's another clear case of Beatle lyrics. The restraining order is for her boyfriend, but looks transferable to me. Take him to Salem. Let's see if he makes trial. Jackson's given electroshock. Rock around the clock in a padded cell. The big red and blue pills. Kesey zoomed in One Flew Over. He's discharged 6 months later. And we clearly see the reference of Ken Kesey, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I can only imagine the character McMurphy getting electroshock treatment. So basically put in a mental institution in Oregon. Jackson now, at the end of this, in 6 months, is looking at some discharge papers. And it says Jackson needs these to leave the institution. So let's take these. Take the discharge papers. And then there's another cutscene. We're in Eugene. And there's some time and movement here with these arrows. And it takes us back to San Francisco. So time has gone by. We've returned to San Francisco as Jackson after getting out of the institution. Actually, if we look on this scene here, Jackson's not in the inventory or anywhere around, so we're just we're observing this as a game player and heading back across the Bay Bridge towards Berkeley. And now we're back at Berkeley, and we see two characters. We see Jackson and Toby. Let's look at Toby. Toby. At 4 in the morning, spittle running down his lower lip, apologies bouncing in a broken mind, Toby finds him on the curb after a Berkeley collision at the southwest corner of Hurst and Oxford. So there's Jackson, and it says spittle running down his lip. So let's see what condition this man is in after this electroshock therapy and so forth. Bleeding badly from the head, back from the hospital, in a twisted wheelchair and thin navy blankets, Jackson sleeps for 13 days, rising only to piss comatose. So, we are now Toby, which we can maybe assume is a friend of Jackson's. We don't know nothing about Toby at this point. But we have in our inventory Jackson, so we can conclude that we're taking care of Jackson, or perhaps we're wheeling him around in his wheelchair. But in any event, as Toby, let's see what we can do. You go to the dry cleaner, nothing there. Let's go south of Berkeley, and you can see now we can go again, one more south, and we get to scene 25, which is Frank and Toby's halfway house. And it's Thanksgiving. A special light vibrates the spidery corners of the kitchen. So Toby's taken Jackson back to a halfway house, Frank and Toby's halfway house. So that we kind of can figure now that where Frank has been all this time, and perhaps we'll see him again in the future. So Frank and Toby apparently are friends. They have a house. We are in the house. We can go inside, and we're in the kitchen, the grimy kitchen, and here's the stove and refrigerator and some of the stuff. And it says, the turkey's been roasting since 8, basted with dimple and hard cider. The smell attracts Toby's crew, smoking hothouse grass and dangling bottles of Miller's High Life. And in the kitchen, the oven, and Toby's friends. Let's look at the friends. Doesn't say anything right now. There's no interaction with his friends. Let's look at the oven. Toby's checking the temperature plug when Jackson appears as the Black Pope. So Jackson has wandered into the kitchen. Let's see how this guy's doing. Blessing his faithful assembly, he dismisses the aluminum foil. You are Jackson. Okay, so we're now the kind of messed up Jackson who was hit by a car in a wheelchair and gone through electroshock therapy. So Jackson's in the kitchen, and it says he dismisses the aluminum foil. So we see there's a cooked turkey. Let's see what happens with this. Look at the cooked turkey. With a swipe of long yellow fingernails, strips the carcass of skin and gulps it down like Saint Pelican. Okay. Nice. And now we see a skinless turkey in the kitchen. Let's look at that. They're in the presence of the last hunger, witnessing the end of a gentleman, hypnotized by the pink nakedness of the turkey and the certainty this will never happen to them. And that would be the shocked friends of Toby, I'm assuming. Let's look at Toby's friends. The boys clap cautiously, then raucously. All right. Okay, way to go, Jackson. All right. And let's see, Frank's in the room here now. So he's returned. Let's see if anything with Frank's going on. Nothing. Let's look at Jackson again. Jackson burps, bows to the refrigerator, and goose steps back to bed. It's his last magic trick. And now we are Frank. Frank has returned to the kitchen, and we get to see our friend Toby in the kitchen with the oven and the turkey. And so Frank looks at, let's see, he's going to look at Toby and we speak to him. Nothing. Nothing happens when he looks at him. Let's go back outside. Goes back outside the house, and the van is there. He's got the van parked there. Let's look at the van. Let's take the van. So we're in the van, and now we have Toby has joined Frank and gotten into the van with Jackson. So they've apparently gotten Jackson in his wheelchair, perhaps, or carried him out. We don't know which, but Jackson and Toby and Frank are all in the van, and they're going to go for a drive somewhere. So let's go north and Berkeley, and there's a new direction here. Let's go southwest here. Say southwestern Berkeley, and we can go southwest again. And that takes us to scene 28, the Oakland International Airport. Okay. Let's look at the terminal. The boarding entrance has a special ramp for the handicapped. Okay, that kind of makes some sense now. And we know who the handicapped is. So let's take Jackson to the terminal, and 3-4 days later, Toby and Frank wheel him up a steel rubber ramp connecting a night flight from Oakland to Atlanta, where maybe his mother is waiting. Well, good luck, Jackson. Hope it works out for you. And they put him on a plane and sent him back to his mom in Atlanta. And that's how Chapter 5 ends in Beyond Exile. I hope you've enjoyed this rather unusual chapter, and see you soon for the next installment.